really bothers me.
This?
No, the full screen nahi ho to.
हाँ मुझे भी. Actually, I have told Robert. I don't know how far he remembers. We can start. Good evening, everyone. This is Arvind Khanduri, welcoming all of you who are currently online and logged in to watch us present to you the first impressions from Clat Possible for the exam Clat 2025. And I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. Debjyoti Das. He will also be sharing, his insights, and also we will be interacting with the students who have just come out of their centers. They'll share with us the insights about the test centers, about the kind of exam that they've just come out of, all this and much more. Also, we will be sharing with you a threadbare analysis of the entire Clat 2025 paper today, and we will be joined by our faculty team from across the nation. Also, we will be joined by our centers all over India, and the students will be sharing with us their Clat 2025 experience. Dev sir, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think I wanted to just start by congratulating all the students who have put in a lot of hard work and have given, I'm sure, what is their best performance in this examination. Although we have a couple of exams that are ahead of us. We have the ALET in another week, which is for National University Delhi. And we also have the symbiosis paper, which is just on the 15th of December. In the meanwhile, the reason why Clat 2025 is the phraseology that Arvind sir was using is because this is for, and this is a very popular confusion, Arvind sir, that's why I was just wanting to clarify this. This is, of course, Clat 2025. And the reason why we are saying this is Clat 2025 is because the admissions for the people who've taken this exam today is going to happen next year. So although the exam is happening in 2024, the admissions are going to happen in 2025.
Thank you, sir. I think that's a clarity that a lot of students, their parents, they don't have.
Yes.
So thank you for just clarifying that. So Dev sir, I'm sure you have interacted with some of the students who are just thronging our centers right now.
Yes.
Did you get any first-hand feel?
I did. I think one of the things that we were all expecting is that because the paper was quite easy last year,
absolutely,
I expected the paper to be surprisingly more difficult this year. But from what I'm hearing about dozens of students that have already poured into our centers here at Clat Possible, I think what I'm hearing is that the paper was exactly as easy as it was last year. AR, there are some challenges, which was because that's not expected. They thought everything's going to be quantitative aptitude. But other than that, it's just consistently as easy as it was last year. The GK
and I
seems to be
think
straightforward.
for a lot of students who really, gone the whole hog and they've, spent sleepless nights preparing for this exam, it's
Absolutely.
a little bit of a shocker, when such a big exam, there are mistakes that, there have been a lot of errors in the exam. And then, some of the students feel a little cheated because they think they have not really been tested,
right,
in terms of the hard work that has gone in. But anyways, we'll come all, from the horse's mouth, from the students ourselves. So probably in the next couple of minutes, we will be sharing, some of the feedback that the students are going to share with us.
But in the meanwhile, I would want anybody who's watching this also to please drop in your comments on YouTube or from wherever else you're watching us. Please give us your feedbacks, what you thought. Did you have challenges at the center? Was your Aadhaar card double-checked or triple-checked? All things, sometimes I feel like Murphy's Law is the first law that all law students should be taught, which is that anything that can go wrong does usually go wrong. But did you have an opposite of Murphy's Law day? Then that's also a good thing, because this is one of those days where you don't want anything to go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you on that. So as Dev sir was saying that, last year it was a relatively, a very easy paper, and this year it was expected that they are going to up their game and they are going to really test the students. Now, some of the initial feedback that has come up is that students are saying, some of the sections like GK, for example, it was more like a reading comprehension. You could just read the passage and get the answers. Now, this is not really something that you expect when you, have
a national level exam.
And the students also, they given their best. They have struggled and strived, for months together. And then if it's something like that, it's obviously very natural to feel a little disappointed.
Yes. So my thoughts on that is also, if you look at the past experience of the CLAT examination, in 2015, if I recollect correctly, that's the year in which RML made the question paper, and it was shockingly difficult. So it was, there was 20 marks of mathematics, which was pretty much 11th, 12th level. Then the logical reasoning section was heavily dominated by analytical reasoning, and on top of it was very difficult analytical reasoning. So the cutoffs for the top law schools, including Bangalore and so on, were barely around less than 60%. For NLS Bangalore itself, you just had to score in and around 120. I think 117 odd was the actual cutoff. But what happened is, and the reason why I bring it up is because in 2016, because the 15 paper was so difficult, we had an opposite kind of an experience. In the 2016 paper, I think, is one of the easiest. I mean, over the last 2 years, of course, it's been consistently easy. But otherwise, 2016 was easy, I think, because 2015 was difficult.
But sir, if I can cut you there, so are we saying that, because now this is the second year in running wherein the paper has been relatively very easy. So is it basically a tactic, if you can call it that, to attract more number of students and tell them that, it's an easier paper and,
maybe
all of you can write it, maths is not so much of a challenge, and so is GK. And to that extent, for example, a lot of students, fear that they've never, especially from science stream, that they've never had exposure to law or GK in the exam. And now, since it's so easy, it's almost like a reading comprehension. You read the passage. Maybe they're making it easier so that more students get attracted.
I can fully appreciate what the CLAT Consortium, if that's the thought process that the CLAT Consortium has, that they want to keep it at a slightly acceptable level so that more number of aspirants can go up. But given that conversation, I cannot stop myself rather than to go to the point of saying, if that's even 50% part of the CLAT's plan, the consortium's plan, they should definitely change the timing of the examination, because there's at least thousands of students who don't even know that CLAT just happened today in the middle of the afternoon on a random Sunday on the 1st of December in 2024 for next year's admission. There's a huge percentage of people, including me, when I gave the paper. I didn't give NUJS because it used to happen in January, but I did qualify NLS Bangalore, and I'm sure people were kind enough to acknowledge that I got an all India rank 20. But the only way it could happen is because the exam used to happen on the second Sunday of May. Right. Now that it's happening in December, I think there's a
very odd
percentage
timing,
of people who are not actually giving the examination. But it's a good step if that's the ideology that they're going with, that we can increase the number of aspirants. Well, the more the competition is, the better the quality of the bar and the bench ultimately will be. So I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, eventually. But then, what happens, the cutoffs are expected to be, very high this year as it was
last year.
So to that extent, it all evens out in the end. Just because it's an easy paper, you can get a whole lot of more aspirants, but that doesn't really necessitate that, you'll end up being in one of the NLUs.
Sure.
So, but anyways, that's for...
I don't know, by the looks of it, it again seems like it's going to be in and around 100, or probably go past even 100 for the top list in the top 5.
But I think in the course of the next couple of minutes, as we are joined by more students from across our centers, I'm sure we'll get a much clearer picture as to how the exam paper really was. Because we've spoken to a couple of students who've come into our Lucknow center right now.
Right.
But I'm sure
some of us have joined us online as well.
I'm sure. So as you all can probably see, our students all just out of their examination centers, just maybe an hour or so back. We can see their smiling faces, gives us a sort of an impression that they've done well. But we'll find that out, once we talk to them directly. So I can see 4 of you there, and now we are joined by one more student. So why don't you just start by just telling us, before we actually start dissecting the exam, the paper, tell us something about your experience at the center. Was it convenient, the location, in terms of your Aadhaar card verification, the process was smooth, or did you see any hurdles out there? One of you can start, Can we check the audios, please? Because I think there's an issue with the audio. So while they connect with us, because I'm sure there's an issue with the audio there.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good perfectly evening. Audible now.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I welcome you all to our centers, and it was really, it's very nice of you, to come all the way from your centers. I'm sure it's been a hard day, but, thank you so much for being there. So why don't you, what I was asking was basically, why don't you share initially, before we get on to the paper, how difficult or easy it was. Why don't you share with us your experience at the center? Did you easily, it was conveniently located? Were there any hurdles there? Any infrastructural issues? One of you can, take the lead and probably share that with us.
Yes, sir. There was no issue getting there, and the center was also
Can you please,
fine.
before you start, can you just let us know your name so that everybody knows who's speaking?
Sir, my name is Manzil.
Right, hi. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, sir, there were minor disturbances from the invigilators. They were talking and all, but we got our OMRs around like 10-12 minutes before 2 p.m. So it was easier, to fill out our details. And basically, the whole registration and the whole process was done in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
2:10.
So it was smooth. It was relatively smooth from the other centers that we get to know about.
Yes.
Like there is a center, something Bijli Passer, yeah. So there was a little problem there that people got their OMRs, they received their OMRs at 2, which was tough for them to manage their time afterwards.
Okay, so I hope that you all did not lose any precious time, with all of those things. At least, okay, there were these hindrances, but you all survived, and there was at least you don't feel that, it came in way of your performance, and, that's eventually what matters. For the rest of you, would you also share that, more or less it was a smooth, I can see a lot of other, faces joining us.
Frankly, no, it wasn't quite smooth.
Yeah, so can you speak a little louder, please? Yeah,
Sorry,
just let us know your name and then just share with us the center experience for all of you who joined us now.
At Bijli Pasi, the primary issue was one that our invigilators were incredibly talkative. They had to share all of their stories, ki ye kiya, wo kiya, and those at that very moment, मतलब उनको तभी बोलना था सब, so they were incredibly talkative. And additionally, they didn't give us our OMRs prior to the 2 hours starting to fill in, so we lost those precious 5 minutes filling the OMR from the 2 hours writing time.
Even at our center, between the paper, there were some arguments between the staff and between the invigilators.
Yes.
They started shouting.
They were talking so much. They were talking so much. I was sitting right at the front and they
All their
continuously
zindagi ke
kept
kisse
talking.
they had to share at
Yeah,
that
if I
very
remember, and I see, obviously I've seen all of you, I've interacted all of you, in the classrooms. And I remember this conversation that, once when there's some disturbances and all, we've been discussing this, that, on the final day, there might be such issues, there might be people who are, we don't expect it, but, you never know. So hopefully none of that really took away from your performances and more or less everything was,
Arvind sir, I've always felt that the amount of training that is required, what the basic elementary degree of training that's required for the people who are conducting the job of invigilation and so on, is just not adequately done by the Clat consortium or the people who are actually responsible for the ground level translation of that work. Because the distribution of OMR before the examination is just so foundational that it has to be that the exam cannot be 115 minutes for the prospective candidate. It cannot be that there is disturbance in the middle of a national level entrance examination where the degree of competition that we have, a barely 3 to 5% students are going to ultimately qualify. So these feedbacks, and this is a consistent feedback that I've been receiving for a decade. It's not even a new thing. I mean, 1 or 2 years in between, there was, of course, computer-based examination, which has its own challenges.
So much so, I remember, sometimes when I've heard Dev sir speaking, he actually says that while it's a 120-minute, paper on paper, but you should at least take, 10 minutes off, and because that's the time that eventually gets lost. So I hope that, that was the spirit there, and, as I said, none of it hindered the performances of the students. So, okay, that was about the logistics of the examination center. But coming on to the exam, the first cut, I mean, if I were to ask each one of you individually, how are you feeling right now? One by one, just, in one line, just let me know, how are you feeling at the moment? Just freshly out of your exam, what is the first cut? What's the first, why don't we start, from the first row? If you were to describe your experience or, how you're feeling right now, in just a statement, would you share with us? How are you feeling? Am I audible? Okay, I think we've lost them there. Hopefully,
Absolutely, we'll share our experiences.
Yeah.
Sorry, it took us a minute to reconnect.
Okay,
So from what I've collected from all my friends over here is that an entire analytical reasoning paragraph was incorrect, erroneous.
Okay, no, okay, we'll get there. We'll get there to the details of the paper. But before that, I just wanted to, what I was asking you, if each one of you can, in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, how are you feeling right now? We just want to know, you've just, all of you have prepared for the last year or, more than that. And now that you've come out of the, biggest challenge so far in your lives, what is the first impression? How are you feeling right now? That's just what we're asking.
Relieved, but at the same time disappointed at the paper, disappointed at the consortium to some extent, really. But I'd like to know from everybody else, guys.
Yeah. Disappointed, basically.
Okay, so what about you?
You guys do know that the members of the consortium are going to be the vice chancellors of your respective universities as and when you go there, right? So maybe tone down the degree of disappointment.
No individual, no chancellor, no person in particular. I'm just disappointed in the paper and the process as a whole.
Right.
The main point of stress really is the cutoff. We know it's gonna go very high. So that's a stressful thing because we know it's gonna go high and you don't score that.
I mean, believe me, I definitely share your sentiment. I think the only reason I'm a little less disappointed is because I've just been used to being disappointed so much that I'm not feeling
They
it,
do not have that,
much.
privilege with them because,
Yes.
Obviously unlike
Yes.
us, we've been seeing it for the last couple of years.
Yes.
It's perfectly all right to feel a little disappointed. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a shared feeling. First of all, understand that. You've given it your best shot. That is what matters. You have worked hard and, hopefully, this will be a fruitful culmination of all the, sleepless nights over the last 1 year or so. So don't get worried. It's a problem that affects all of us. It's not something that, individually you've had. So take comfort in that and, you've done your best. I think you now, there's another paper that's coming, I mean, let's prepare for that. Take a few hours off, take a day off and then, get in there. And I hope, all of us, will get very soon good news from all of you sitting there.
Yes.
So besides that, anybody, I understand the shared feeling is a little disappointment, which is perfectly all right. Anyone else want to, feelings something different? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think they just try to
Feelings.
switch on.
Yeah, we are tired.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I can totally. You must be feeling exhausted. The last couple of weeks have been hectic, and I can totally get that you are feeling exhausted. So don't worry. It's
Half an hour just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
That was the most painful 30 minutes.
But trust me, while I understand you all have waited for exam to happen, and now that it's over, it's a big burden off you. But some of you, I'm going to miss, are going to miss this process of, just trying to be your best and giving, and so. Okay, you don't seem to agree with me, so I'll not discuss that.
Also, miles to go before you sleep because we have A-Late right around the corner another week.
Right.
So
probably they deserve
maybe
a couple of hours wherein they can just chill and relax and watch.
hog up on glucose and just get back to it, I think.
Yeah.
You can take a break today, don't overstress it.
Mental space to chill.
Yeah. Maybe
I think everyone's trying to just get to A-Lit preparation as soon as possible. Just let's move on.
Right.
Okay, and one more thing, while you in your centers, all of you know each other, but I'm sure you interacted with students who would come from other centers, from other schools, and is there any feedback from them? Everybody was feeling the same, or some students?
Absolutely the same.
Everyone was just feeling the same.
Everyone was pretty much.
Pretty well. Yeah, I mean, essentially the same.
Okay.
a lot of people are
We also have a lot of our students from Chandigarh who joined in.
So
Hello,
what we'll do is
Chandigarh.
we'll give them a little break.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
collect your thoughts together. We'll be getting back to you. In the meanwhile, we'll connect with our Chandigarh Clat Center and let's hear from them what they have to say. So good evening, everyone. Chandigarh Center. Yeah, you all seem like very happy faces I'm seeing. So is it really happiness or is it some other feeling that you're trying to hide with that happiness? So before we start, like we did with the Clat Possible, our center in Lucknow, I see a couple of you there. So if you can just sum up the initial feeling, let's not get into the nitty-gritties right now. Any initial thought now that you've prepared for the biggest exam of your life?
Where your center experience is slightly better than what happened at Bijli Pasi Center at Lucknow and some of the centers.
They wouldn't know. So in terms of center dynamics, the center experience, did you face any challenges? Because in one, we spoke to a couple of students, they said, no, the staff was very talkative and they didn't give them the
OMR time
sheets
पे
on
नहीं
time.
मिला, staff और invigilator में झगड़ा हो गया. Did you have any of those foundational India's Got Latent type problems?
I mean, in my center, the teacher was talking on the phone. Very weird. That's okay. I believe.
Man,
My
120
invigilator was
minutes.
talking with the other teacher, and they both were gossiping about I don't know what.
So I think talkative invigilators are a pan-India problem.
And gossiping
at
as
least
well.
in
So I'm not sure if that was the best thing they could, but anyways, we have discussed this issue. As long as it didn't really affect your performances, you know, and you said, okay, fine, it's a little bit of a hindrance, but that's not going to affect my performance because that's what we have prepared for, you know, the last year or so. I mean, that's okay. In terms of, you know, a timely giving of the OMR sheets, was that okay? Did you lose out on any time?
No, not really. Not
You're
really.
supposed to get the OMR before the examination starts, like before the 2-hour time that you actually have, so that you can fill out your.
हाँ, we got it.
उनको भी नहीं दिया है,
हमने
नहीं दिया है।
2 बजे दिया
Like, पूरा 2 बजे
So I think, you know, one thing is, yes, as you were saying, you know, they need to be inducted
I'm
by the
telling you,
consortium and say, you know.
I'm
this
telling you,
is,
they make a question paper where they have about 20 questions on what writes this right and that right.
and this is what they do.
And then they do this where they don't give the right to OMR 5 minutes before the actual examination.
So okay, as I can see, you know, that has, you know, while it was a botheration, it didn't really, you know, affect your performances, I hope. So the next question that I'll ask all of you is, before we actually get on to discussing, dissecting the paper, is if each one of you can quickly tell, you know, now that you've come out of the examination center, how are you feeling right now? We'll start with the first row. How are you
The
feeling
paper
right now?
was really easy, and so therefore the cutoff will go really high. So that's disappointing because we have prepared a lot towards GK, but the GK was too easy.
Okay. You know, one of the complaints that last also I heard from the students is that, you know, at Clat Possible, you know, we really go out of our ways to guide our students and coach them, you know, keeping in mind that it's going to be a really tough paper. So I can really, you know, last year also it was similar. The student felt a little cheated because they said, no, we really prepared, and now the question paper didn't live up to their expectations of a tough paper, but that's okay. Okay, so that's fine. What about the others?
I think the paper was quite easy. Speaking about maths, it was moderate for me, and if people know me well, they know me. If I'm saying it's moderate, it was very easy, and anybody could attempt the
So you're feeling
10
relieved.
questions.
If I can sum it up for you, you're feeling relieved. It was
Yeah. I never attempted maths in mock. Actually, I did in 3-4 last mocks. So I was like, ये 12, 10, 15 question है. They're like, ऐसे ही मैं attempt ही करूँगी. And once I attempted the maths question, I was for sure कि मेरे अच्छे marks आएंगे, because that is like the limit that I said कि बस.
That's very good to hear.
पूरा हो गया. And CR was good again, but then there was one passage which people were confused about, which might be wrong or might not be. I don't
that's
know.
a feedback.
So, analysis के बाद ही पता चलेगा. And except that, I think English was quite easy.
Okay.
And legal also.
Good.
It was an easy paper.
So you're feeling
Yeah.
happy and content with your performance?
Very.
You know, Arvind sir, I've always felt every time when a lot of students say that the paper was easy, I try to make it a filtering process. I'll give you a reverse example so that everybody can sort of understand my point. Like in the 2015 paper, a lot of my students who I thought were going to do really well and get into the top 3 colleges, because I mean, 1 and etc. thoda luck factor bhi hai. They came back to me. One student called and said, sir, paper ekdam bahut kharab gaya. The second one called and was on the verge of tears. And then by the time the third person said, sab barbad ho gaya, sir, I was 100% sure that if these 3 students are already feeling so depressed, the rest of the country is probably crying with tears of blood. So, you know, and in a similar way, although we can see a lot of smiles on our students here at Clat Possible, I'm not sure if everybody is sharing the exact same sentiment, because this is a bunch of people who really prepared, worked hard, spent time, energy, you know,
And they've been mentored
analysis.
pretty, you know, strongly.
You know, they've done all of those things, done the right things, and therefore they're feeling like it could have been tougher and it could have been better. Maybe, you know, there's at least thousands and thousands of students, I'm sure, who found this question paper also to be quite challenging.
Yeah, so, you know, I understand that's what I was getting at when I was asking them that, you know, this shared sentiment is coming from a set of students who are, you know, who've been, you know, studied hard, who've been mentored, you know, by some of the best experts in the country. And so to that extent, they feel a little disappointed that, the paper did not live up to their expectations.
Right.
But there are a whole lot of students, on the other hand, who have probably, not taken it so seriously, or maybe they've not been mentored the way we mentor our students at Clat Possible. And so probably for them, it might be a tough paper for all we know. So, so it's good to hear that, you all thought that it was easy and you did, beyond what you expected you'd do. So what about the others? Is there anyone else who's feeling different thoughts?
Good, happy, easy.
Yeah,
Those
easy.
are the keywords.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I think did say, I think we are missing on the sound. So did somebody say something funny? Why don't you share with us? I heard some laughter there at the back row. Okay, so all in all, I think they are in a nice mood. That's a good sign. That's a positive sign, and we really hope to see all of you, representing Clat Possible in the best NLUs across the country. So thank you very much, Team Chandigarh. We will be getting back to you and share with you the experience, section-wise, how you felt. But if I can,
I have one small question. Would you want the A-late paper to be equally easy, or would you want it to be more difficult?
That's a tough one.
A bit tough.
Sorry, you would?
Difficult.
Difficult, you want it to be more difficult. So that's, I think, the general feedback. People actually want it to be more difficult. I am extremely happy when I get this response from my students, because that means they're really confident with their preparations. Otherwise, anybody who's underprepared or unprepared or anywhere in that vicinity would probably go to the mandir and start nariyal bribing ki main easy aa jaye kisi tarah se.
And considering they're all at the centers, I think that's a good sign.
Yes.
So, Chandigarh team, thank you very much. Very happy to see happy faces, content and your performances, having given your best shot. We will get back to you, but before we do that, we'll connect to, our other centers at, I think Kanpur is, can we connect to Clat Possible Center at Kanpur?
Kanpur's just joining in.
Okay, so.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Sir, actually the center is too far and the students cannot come over here. So I've shared the link with the students. Probably once they reach home, they will be logging in.
Great.
Okay, no worries. We'll get back to you later. Thank you so much.
Well, good to know that you've already spoken to the students though, and I'm sure you already have a sense of how they're feeling. Is it similar sentiment? They also feel like paper easy tha?
For some student it was easy, and some were saying that ma'am English mein kuch gadbad ho gaya hai. There was some passage.
Yeah, there was one.
There was one passage.
Yeah.
There is
So
the
it
one.
was
It is.
from different students.
Yes.
Yes.
So hopefully later on
I think
when
we can start jumping into the specific sections.
Yeah, specifics of the paper. Thank you so much for joining in CP Kanpur. Now can we connect to, we have, I'm sorry, sir, which center is this?
I think
Hazrat.
this is.
Okay, so let's go to,
Ganj.
Okay, so let's connect to Ganj Center and let's get on to the paper, the exam.
Yes.
In terms of the sections that we've had. One thing that's extremely, one thing that I hear from them is, one section that we see, quant, that is DI. A lot of students who come from humanities, because a lot of humanities students do write this exam.
Yes.
And for them, maths is always a challenge. So probably this, to make the maths exam so easy is probably, trying to tell the students that, from a humanities background, if you are coming from there, it's okay if you, because this exam is not going to really test you on mathematics. So I think probably that can be good for non-math students.
And I think we can all say welcome back analytical reasoning after quite a few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's made a very strong guest comeback, or a guest appearance at least in the paper.
The passage was wrong. Yeah.
The question was wrong.
Okay, sorry, we'll just cut you there since you're all there. We'll just connect to our Kanpur Center because we have a student, actually we have students here who can just share, and then we'll get back to you. A little sorry for that. Hi, good evening, how are you?
Fine, very good, sir.
Okay, so good to see you, and happy faces again. So now that you've just come out, from Clat 2025, what would you like to share with us? How did you feel? How was the center? Your experience at the center, your performance, the terms of how difficult or easy the paper was, whatever you would like to share with us.
Easy to moderate-ish, just like past year. And I still remember Devjyoti sir's dialogue कि अगर तुम लोगों के 95 से ऊपर नहीं आ रहे तो you should not expect it till now कि तुम लोगों की कोई अच्छी rank आएगी. And when I was doing the legal section, I was like, oh my God, sir will be so disappointed with that. The legal section was just like pick the odd one out, and passages को तो read करने की इतनी ज़्यादा ज़रूरत थी नहीं. And whenever every single question I was doing, and मुझे देवज्योति सर की शक्ल याद आ रही थी कि he will be so like, oh my God, what
so
is
we
this
hope
question?
you will do Devjyoti sir and in turn Clat Possible proud, because Devjyoti sir already told you 95 से below नहीं होने वाला है. So I hope that that motivated you to really give in your best shot.
Yes, and there was a CR का passage जो like हम लोगों ने practice किया हुआ था, and it was exactly as the same question, same passage in the similar order.
Wow. Okay, that's one more feather, I think, CP's, cap. So, good. So, in terms of sections, which one did you thought was a little challenging because you thought that the paper was of moderate difficulty?
Sections as in not like that, but a surprise was the AR wala part, and AR wala is, it was not tough, but it was quite wrong.
Yeah, there's an issue there.
That the arrangement was wrong, and solve करते time तो थोड़ा सा nervousness हो गई, but फिर when I realized कि मुझसे और solve नहीं हो रहा, तो it was I got कि वो हाँ गलत है.
गलत था.
So I'm told one more to the left वाला answer type का आ रहा है क्या? One over, like one more positioning in terms of options. Okay.
Okay, so in terms of the other sections, because somebody mentioned the GK paper was it read more like
RC.
a RC passage. All the answers were there. Given in the passage, you had to do a speak.
I tell you that it would have benefited every humanities student because only two passages were of current affairs and rest were like GK modern history. तो उसमें जो humanities के बच्चे हैं तो उनको I guess read करने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी होगी. It was 10th की GK types.
Okay. So all in all, are you content with your performance? You think something could have gone better for you?
Very content with it. जितना हम लोगों ने practice की, it was worth it.
And
Great.
do you have any suggestions or anything you would like to say to all of the students who are preparing for the Clat 2026 exam?
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's it.
Well, that they are like wisdom words coming in from one of our students from Kanpur. Thank you so much for joining in, and we will get back to you later. And now we'll connect with our students from I think Lucknow is still waiting for us.
Yes.
Yeah. So can we connect to CP Hazratganj?
Yes.
Great. So now, as you had shared with us the issues at the center and all, and how you felt. But if we can now get back to the sections, and if we can start one section at a time, right? So what is the overall experience that you had with, let's say now that Dev sir is here, about the legal section? How did the legal section?
The legal section wasn't the legal section, it was a RC section
Yeah.
that required prior legal knowledge. It was that. It was
Yeah, I
just
mean,
RC.
I was just very casually going through the question paper. Of course, I have not deep dived into the paper, but when I saw it, there was at least a couple of questions within the first 10-15 questions that I saw. Jisme without prior legal knowledge, I think it was going to be very inconvenient. The contract wala passage is the one that I saw. But the distinction between void, voidable, and void ab initio is something that was not completely derivable from, the language of the passage. But good, I'm sure all of you did that, did the whole thing right.
What about
Going
the
in
others?
without legal
Similar
knowledge
feedback
in the
on legal? You all thought as much? So all of you felt that this is how you would try to summarize the legal section?
Legal section.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
And what about English, RC?
It was easy. I don't think there was any difficulty there.
So now
Yeah,
you think that, out of the 24 questions, what are the kind of, generally if I were to ask you, what are the kind of scores that you're expecting?
Obviously 20 above, but hopefully 20 to 23 probably. But if not, then.
So that's our job well
But
done.
and you know, Arvind sir, as a member of the teaching faculty, I have never felt happier hearing the word obviously. Like, obviously above 20.
True.
I am so happy to hear that word right there. Great.
It's like music
great.
to our ears, you know.
Yeah,
having interacted with all of you, you know, when you say obviously, and we've interacted with you in the classroom, so it's actually
fireworks going all over my mind right now. Great.
But
And,
if we have
what
made mistakes and we did silly and stupid stuff that let us down, then
No, don't think of it like that. It's not let you down. You know, you all, as we were discussing when you were not there, probably this is a sentiment that our students at CP are, you know, experiencing. But this does not mean that, you know, all the students, all the aspirants, which are like almost 50,000, everybody is feeling the same. So it goes on to show that CP is really being able to, you know, guide you well, coach you well. You've gotten great mentors, and it's prepared you, you know, really well to take such a challenging exam right on its head and really come out of it with what seems like flying colors. We really hope that we see all of you, you know, in NLUs in the coming session. So going to the
single-digit ranks is what what I'm talking about. It's NLUs, so I think all of our hardworking students definitely go to NLUs. It's the maximum triple digits is where it should end, is my hope.
True.
And double digit, single digit is what we're going to celebrate.
Okay, so quickly we will now connect to Tanvi Gupta from Delhi. Tanvi's been waiting for us, so we'll have to disconnect with you guys and we'll join you later. So now we'll connect with Tanvi Gupta from our center in Delhi. Hi, Tanvi, I'm a little sorry that we hear you've been waiting for a bit. Sorry about that. It seems you're just coming from the center, you know, after giving your exam.
Yeah.
So Tanvi, would you share with us the first card of how you're feeling right now?
The feeling is a little mixed because first of all, I'm doubtful about what they'll end up doing with that AR set. Right. Would they give us the grace marks or not? Secondly, that edge we generally have in some of the sections, I felt that was a little lost there because, for example, I had studied a lot about GK and the kind of GK they gave took away that edge. And about CR, I think not a lot of questions are ambiguous there. I just hope that they have the logic still. And legal, I think a few questions were absolutely out of the passage and could not be answered without any prior knowledge. And even with prior knowledge, there was this one question in void and voidable contracts, which I feel where multiple options can be correct. So that is that one thing which was very disappointing, that they haven't even given the principle in the passages. So seemed that they have picked up some editorials and made legal questions out of their own whims. So that's it about my...
Yeah, we're also keeping our fingers crossed that the logic is still intact there, and you know, no student is going to really suffer from, you know, some of the errors that have been committed.
I can just to share my thoughts on it. Usually, Tanvi, what I have at least seen is, if there is a couple of questions or an entire set either ways, which is wrong, what they do is not grace marks, because then it becomes complicated in the sense that if somebody has attempted and then somebody is not even attempted, not even looked at the question paper, starts getting free marks, it becomes a problem. So what they have done in the past, at least more than once, is they've simply cancelled the question. So, which means the total number of questions itself has dropped below 120, or I mean, in the earlier case, it used to be 150 or 200, as the case may be.
Yeah, I hope that they withdraw those 6 questions there, because I think it was 2021 or 22 where some questions in maths were incorrect. And they were so intelligent people that they didn't even withdraw all of them. Like, they did withdraw, I think, a couple of them, but not all the incorrect questions.
Right.
So I just hope that they take it out or do something about it at least.
Right.
They don't end up giving some illogical answers in their keys.
I mean, hopefully they'll come out with what they call as the provisional answer key. And it's a unique experience that I've discovered only happens usually in the CLAD exam, where they actually give you a provisional answer.
Which is basically accepting that since it's provisional, there might be errors that they're expecting.
It's already
which is
a
bit of a shame, but anyways, we have to deal with that. We have to live with that.
Yes.
So Tanvi, if I may ask you, you must have interacted with a couple of your friends or maybe others who had given the examination at the center. Is it a kind of a feeling that is shared by others that the paper was relatively easier or maybe moderately difficult, if you may call it that?
Yeah, it was definitely easy in the sense that the questions were easy. But if I talk about the cutoff, that might be a little difficult then.
Okay, so now that's the feeling that you're all having.
Yeah, it was surprising for me that one of my classmates was also there in the same room.
Okay.
In the exam hall. For me, it was also surprising when we came out. I talked to her only, and even for her, she was very surprised at the kind of GK and legal they had given. So yeah, the questions were easy, but I hope the cutoff is also then comparatively easier.
Yeah, we wish you all the best, and we thank you so much for joining in, and I really appreciate that you seem to be on your way back to your home after giving the exam, and you still could find time to talk to us and share with us your feedback. Okay, so we really wish you all the best from CP, the mentors team from CP, and we really hope to see you all come out of this with flying colors. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Arvind sir, it's so heartening that I don't even remember when I used to give the paper or when I actually gave the paper, got my good ranks also. Did I have this much of a detailed impression right after the paper? Clearly, you can see that everybody has done so much homework about exactly what used to happen. Is this a consistent error that the Clat consortium has done? Is this the degree of difficulty that we should expect? What was the past year situation? And there's so much detailed impression that we're getting.
Yeah, and the kind of maturity with which the students are speaking to us and sharing their thoughts. I mean, that's really impressive. And some bit of credit, I think, also goes, obviously the parents and, the teachers.
Absolutely.
Also goes to the CP team because, these are the conversations that we've had in the past during the course of the preparation. We are not just stopping at, just coaching them for, the curriculum, but
so on the last day, I mean slightly off, but on the last day when I was addressing the bulk of the students here, I told them, when we had a lot more time to prepare, I was a slightly different form of a teacher, but because we have our 7 months odd time frame, so I want an accelerated jump into adulthood for you. So over the last 7 months, because I have a condensed timeline, I might have been a little more rude than what I needed to be, but it's going to serve you well in the long run.
At the end of the day, we all know that is basically for their benefits, and I'm sure some of the students, I mean most of the students would be thanking CP that because see, as you said, it's so heartening to see that people are saying obviously we'll at least and that's so happy as a as a mentor, so happy to hear these words, and this shows that they've been coached well, and it's one of the toughest exams that they probably have given in their lives. They've come out of it with so much of elan and so much of confidence. So that's very good to know. And now I can see some students, and if one of you can just, okay, now we have Shreya from our CP Delhi Center, Shreya Saraswat. So we'll be joined by Shreya.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Shreya. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, sir. I'm doing good. Sir, like for the paper, I'd say one thing. I've like the GK section I've prepared itna zyada for GK for no reason. It was all passage based.
Shreya, we can hear you very nicely. I mean, if in case you don't have an issue there, your video doesn't seem to work. If you can switch it on, or if you're in a...
Let me check, sir.
Yeah. You can keep talking to us, Shreya, while you do that. Okay, I think there's some bit of an issue that seems there. We are not able to connect to Shreya. Okay, so while we sort that out,
I think Shreya shared her thoughts on the GK section, that it was not really GK. And again, that's been a consistent theme as you're also listening, that it is not... General knowledge is not something that you derive from the passage. It's just so foundational and fundamental that even I don't know how to react to some of these things that's
and because we've seen at Clat Possible that GK, obviously all the sections are very important, but the kind of effort that goes into GK, the monthly magazines, our mentors were traveling from all across centers in India so as to ensure
We
that
did about half a dozen marathon sessions of about 4 to 5 hours each in the last 20 days.
Absolutely. So it is, as I can totally sense the feeling that they're sharing. So in the meanwhile, we'll connect with Arjun, who's one of our students from CP Prayagraj. So Arjun.
Greetings, sir.
Hi, good evening, Arjun. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Very good, sir.
So Arjun, you seem, I'm sure you just come out of your center just an hour or so back.
Arjun, are you going to score 120? Is that what's happening?
Sir, 120 seems unlikely, but
110?
As far as I think, 100 plus it is going to be.
110 plus?
100 plus.
100 plus for sure, okay. Great. So basically, obviously that means that you found all the sections to be reasonably easy, because that's almost board percentage type score.
I mean, legal was GK based, GK was RC based. Even a couple of questions in maths were like, they were also like, we could derive them from the passage. And
Arjun, if you can speak a little louder, please.
Yeah.
If you can speak a little louder, please.
Yes. So am I audible now?
Yeah.
Fine. So my sense, actually I started off well, because when I saw the first passage in English, that was of J. Krishnamurti, and that was like a good for me, as I've read him. And I could also see that third passage of English was from one of our previous year questions. So the R.K. Narayan passage that I have done somewhere. So, and another point that I would like to address is legal was GK based and GK was RC based.
See, but I've told you throughout the year that the consortium will keep telling you that you don't need prior legal knowledge, but they've been saying the same thing for 3 decades now, and consistently they prove their statements to be incorrect. So I hope all of you were anyway well prepared with prior legal knowledge. Should not have been much of a problem.
Arjun, also, did you find, some significant errors that probably slowed down, probably, you're saying 100 plus, you think, that might have added, some score had,
I was confident about my CR, but when I saw that AR set, I cannot say whether it was right or wrong, because I never did AR.
I think we're already working on it.
Don't worry, if you are online, the CR team is going to share with you, and so is everyone else. Whether what everyone is saying seems to be correct, hopefully, and we'll find it.
Other sections were smooth.
Okay.
So not a problem as such.
Also, how was the center situation in Prayagraj? I mean, we've heard from Kanpur, Chandigarh, and Lucknow, but are things all good in Prayagraj? Did you get OMRs on time? I mean, basic.
Yeah,
things.
for me and for the others as well, it was good. But I saw some students crying that the invigilators were talking and
that seems to be unfortunately a general sentiment across. So you were not alone there.
Right.
So Shreya, now Arjun, now if I were to ask you to quickly sum up, you must have had certain expectations from the paper, certain expectations as to in terms of your performance. So overall, are you more or less happy? How do you feel, vis-a-vis what you thought the paper would be, how you would perform?
No, my expectations with the paper were not very high.
Okay.
They reminding us that they are not very good people making the paper. So the feeling was pretty similar. People did say that the paper this year would be very tough, but I know that the sample paper things and those what happened 3 days ago was more like a bluff, and similar happened. So my expectation when I went into the center, my expectation was of course 120 and 120. So that did not happen. But anyways, I'm feeling good.
Okay, great. That's very good to hear. So thank you so much, Arjun, for joining us and sharing with us, giving us your feedback and sharing the insights with regard to CLAT 2025. I wish you all the best, and we really hope to see all our students come out of this with flying colors.
Thank you.
Okay. So, sir, I mean, what is your feeling, because the students somewhere, and I can totally, empathize with them, if you have a paper which has gotten certain errors,
Right.
I'm sure some students are going to, miss out on a, probably in terms of number of attempts because they're going to waste some time in figuring out.
Exactly. So what I think a lot of people underestimate is कि अरे वो question गलत है तो वो हटा देंगे. But what happens is somebody has actually spent 10
Time
minutes
there, yeah.
on it and somebody who's not spent any time on it because they saw the AR question, they realized AR तो मैंने सीखा ही नहीं है. So I'm not going to touch it. So effectively the people who tried to solve it.
It works unfavorably for them.
It works fundamentally unfavorably, for them. So these are things that should not really happen, at a national level exam. But of course, I'm probably jumping the gun because we haven't had our expert feedbacks
Absolutely.
on
So we are just assuming.
whether it's exactly actually wrong or it is actually correct. So while I wait for the Clat Possible team to get back to us, and we'll do a section-wise analysis right after this, and we'll begin with our dissection of the paper. In the meanwhile, I mean, assuming it's wrong, this is what my thoughts are.
Unfortunately, and probably nothing can be done at this stage, and we'll have to live with it. Right. So on that note, we have our student Neetu Nishad, who is joining us from our CP Mumbai Center. So can we connect to Neetu Nishad, please? Okay, Neetu has sent a message that she is at the airport. So Neetu, can you take a call right now, or you're already in the process of checking in? And
you've gone straight from the center to the examination to the airport?
So basically it's a good thing, they're already literally flying,
Are you traveling to Bangalore to visit the NLS campus? That's the plan?
Okay, so she is laughing. Okay, so
आना तो यही है, एक बार देख लें कॉलेज कैसा है, हाँ?
No, that's a good omen, We've been talking about coming out with flying colors, and you are literally flying. So okay, so you are saying no. So Neetu coming to
Neetu's coming to Lucknow. Great. Okay.
So good. So Neetu, then we will see you on the other side because I'm assuming that you can't take a call right now, considering you are at the airport. So we have Nishant Jadwani. If Nishant can be taken online, can we speak to Nishant, please?
Hello.
Hi Nishant. Good evening.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, Nishant, you're audible.
Good
it
evening,
would
sir.
help if you can switch on your video.
Oh yeah, but let me check. Yeah, this should work.
Hi Nishant.
Okay, yeah.
So Nishant, before we start,
hello sir.
Which center do you represent?
Clat Possible Pragraj.
Pragraj. Okay, fantastic. So we also spoke to one of the students earlier at Pragraj.
We've just spoken to Arjun.
Arjun, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I've joined since 4:30, I believe.
Oh, okay. Great.
So you'd want to ask him something?
No, I mean, did you agree with most of the things that you've heard since you've been here from the beginning? So I'm assuming...
I do agree, and I agree with you mostly on the AR part. I actually tried it thrice throughout the exam, could not get a solution.
Oh, so you're one of the victims that me and Arvind were discussing.
Yes, I attempted 6 or 7 minutes on that, only attempted 2 questions, and then I had to move on.
Right.
So,
I was unlucky with the invigilator as well.
It must have been a little disheartening, but then you would not be the lone person there who would have probably, we were just discussing before we connected to you, that it's a little sad that we feel when students lose out on time.
Arvind sir, my thoughts on it are, while there must be thousands of students who actually not attempted it, the category that we were just talking about, that those people who did not attempt probably had an advantage. But if you look at it, the bitter truth also would be that most people who are actually going to qualify, most people who are already in the top 3% or 3.5%, 4% of India, are those people who would have anyway tried it, who would have anyway prepared enough to be able to give it 1 shot, 2 shots, or just like...
So basically you're saying anyways their likeliness of performance is better. I mean, they're more likely to perform better because they have obviously, touched those questions which other probably tried to avoid.
Yes, so those, let's say out of about 50,000, 60,000 aspirants, if there are 15, 20,000 students even who have not even tried it, but those 15, 20,000 are usually not going to be the ones who are actually gunning for the seats.
Because they probably might have already pre-decided that, we are not going to touch the math section.
Yes.
We are not going to do this GK.
Yes.
So in a way, it's good that, students like you who did, because you were confident that you would crack it. Unfortunately, things didn't go the right way. But the expectation is that you will be probably one of those students who would, have the confidence to crack all of them. And these things do happen in life. This is, some things like these do happen. And we really hope that, this is not going to hamper your overall performance and you'd still make it to
anybody else who's watching and who's probably being bothered by this, believe me, anybody who's going to get a top 2000 2500 rank at the end of the result cycle, each one of those 2000 students have definitely tried it and wasted their time as well. You're not going to be the only one, so don't let it bother you so much. And there are of course a couple of exams right ahead of you.
So, Nishant, what do you think? I mean, you obviously might have had some little time, or you might have spoken to your fellow aspirants. What is the kind of score that you are expecting today?
Everybody that I spoke to expected a very high cutoff, considering that most of the people feel that this year of the examination was easier than the previous one. Can't say that everybody agrees with me, but a lot of people I spoke with did.
So you're going to get what, 110, 120?
I couldn't even attempt 110 questions because of the invigilator and the AR section. AR part actually. I expect around 85 to 90 minimum.
85 to 90. Okay.
But let's hope and pray.
Right.
So any words of wisdom, Nishant, to all the Clat 2026 aspirants who are going to write the exam next year based on your experience?
The basic advice would be not to trust Clat consortium. I did twice and was betrayed.
That's as vocal or as frank as one can get.
Yes. And most importantly, read the GK passages. Not all of the time they are, just for the aesthetics.
Right. Fair point. Thank you.
Arvind sir, no, I mean, I don't really have a question specifically for Nishant, but I wanted your opinion on something. Over the past few years, I haven't really done a detailed analysis, but over the past few years, I've also seen the CAT also, the IIMs also, and even the IPM exam, the actual CAT exam, and to that extent, the CLAT exam. Are the organizers really just trying to make it as much about preparation as it is about the surprise or the factor of it, so that the students are just perpetually kept on their toes, kept on guessing, and anybody with just, the right attitude, approach, and so on should qualify? And do you think that's a healthy thing? Should preparation itself be a bad thing?
See, well, at the end of the day, we have to live with, we can't change, the pattern. We can't predict what they are going to ask us. Now, I agree with you. For example, when COVID happened, a lot of, we specifically talk about CAT exam. They tried to change the pattern of this exam. They try to make it shorter. There were a lot of challenges that they were facing. And in that attempt to do so, they made the paper much tougher because now they were asking much lesser questions. Now, last 2 years, the CAT exam has been pretty tough, but this year, the exam just got over last week. And this year, it's been pretty tough, Sorry, it's been pretty easy compared to the last couple of years, because the students were expecting a tough paper. So when they're now calling me and they are, they're the kind of sense that they are getting, they are saying the cutoffs are going to be extremely high this year. So it's a surprise element nobody can really predict. But I think the COVID element, if you were to factor in for some of the exams, that also played a role. Because probably they're trying to motivate more students to, as we discussed, to write the exam, trying to tell them that if you don't have a maths background, it's still fine. Because a lot of students do shy away from writing an exam, specifically because of maths. So, and legal, for example, is a new subject. Not all of the students study legal in their class 12. So they're saying that, it's just like to read the comprehension, it's just an extension of a reading comprehension. And English, since everybody student does study in class 12, it's a feel-good factor that, oh, I can, And I'm sure a lot of students who will see past year's papers, and if they see the last 2 years papers, they'll be motivated. They'll say, oh, it's an easy paper. We can write it, and probably that is going to increase the number of students writing in the exam. So that is about it. Now we have students Veronica and Dhatri. Now, if one of them is available and then can join us, we'll quickly have a chat with them. Between Veronica.
Yeah, hello sir, Veronica this side.
Hi Veronica.
1 second. Actually, I don't know why, but it's not letting me open the camera. So I'm sorry if I'm not able to bring the camera up.
Okay, we've sent you permission. If you can just click. I mean,
it's still showing. But can you send me once again? Yeah.
You just accept it.
I keep accepting it. It's not showing
It's okay.
up.
It's okay if you can't join. It's okay. So Veronica, quickly, which center do you come from?
I come from CP. That's in Connaught Place, basically Delhi.
Delhi, fantastic.
Right.
So Veronica, I'm sure you have, probably if you've been with us in the last 1 hour, you would have gotten the first cut impression from, your co-aspirants for Clat 2025. So would you differ, or are your sentiments similar? If you can sum it up
I think with the other panelists, I absolutely agree. It's a similar thing that it was somehow easier, because even I was like, I was told that last year was so easy, and usually consortium is like one easy, one difficult. So I was expecting something like it would be a difficult paper. But to think that the paper would be like something that you just have to read passages, have speed, and have a prior legal knowledge was something I didn't really expect. So I was like, yeah, that's really great.
Veronica, if I can ask you, was maths, did you consider maths as one of your strengths or one of your weak points?
No, I didn't consider maths that much because it was obviously one of my weaker points. So otherwise,
so
the
is
other
there a
sections
sense
were...
of relief now that the maths paper was easier? Did you perform better than you thought you would?
Yeah, I was relieved that it was an easier side.
Okay.
That was
and Veronica, if I may ask you, do you come from a maths background?
No, I do not come from a maths background, unfortunately. I come from a humanities background.
Okay, we get that. So overall, how would you rate your chances? I mean, did you perform up to your expectations, or are you happy or disappointed?
Yeah, I'm actually happy with how much I attempted. I don't know if I just saw a message that someone was asking that how much should be the attempting questions. So I'd say around 100 and 100 plus are really good ones. So yeah, it was around 100 plus, and I'm really satisfied with how much I've attempted, despite having a bit, like as I said, maths as a weaker thing, but I was really happy about it.
Great. So we are getting some comments, sir, which are saying basically, they are saying that though the cutoffs would be high, we are not really getting an idea. So I think just wait for a bit,
exactly,
when the mentors come in and they share with you threadbare the entire, the structure, how it was, and then we'll get a much clearer idea. We do not want to, prepone that. So they will be sharing with you what are the kind of expected cutoffs that we expect.
I have looked at the paper. I have not solved it. I've looked at the paper, and by the looks of it, it seems like it should go. It should easily touch around 100, if not more than 100. But I think I don't want to jump too many horses right now. Let me look at the full paper. Let the team look at the full paper, and then we can kind of
see. But one of the things that's coming out, in the we had a discussion with regards to that, and now we spoke to Veronica. And Veronica, like most of our students, comes from a humanities background, and now she's feeling relieved because she must have really thought, that that's a section that's going to be tough on her. But she surprisingly performed well, and then she's going to talk to other students and say, what, you can write Clat, it's not so high, and that's the popularity of the exam goes up with that. So Veronica, any other points that you might want to add? Any suggestions that you might want to give to the aspirants of Clat 2026 in terms of their preparations?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to give an advice for Clat 2026. I'm sure mostly other people that would be giving suggestion would be about the GK passages and all that. But someone who was actually feeling very anxious, and I'm sure that it is a very anxious thing. So I'd like to suggest one thing, and that is to not take any stress. It is just an examination. I've seen people take a lot of stress. Even after I came out of my exam, I was seeing people very stressed out and all. So, and I saw someone crying. So it was a really stressful thing. So I'd suggest that people should not take that much of stress when giving examination. It's just an examination, and I'm sure with the help of Clat Possible, there will be other examinations to try. It will be easier ones. So that would be one advice I'd give to the 2026 batch.
Well, I think words, pearls of wisdom again. Thank you so much, Veronica, for coming and chatting with us and sharing, all that you did with us. I wish you all the best from Team Clat Possible, and we want to see you, amongst. We
can take Akanksha next.
Okay, so thank you again,
so
Veronica.
Now, sorry, she's saying anything.
Oh, you were saying something?
I was going to say thank you very much for the wish.
You are most welcome, Veronica, and thank you so much. So that was Veronica from our Delhi center.
Connaught Place Center.
Huh?
Connaught Place Center.
Connaught Place Center in Delhi. Now we will speak to Akanksha. Akanksha has been waiting for us to connect with her. Hi, Akanksha.
Hello, can you hear me?
Akanksha, yes. We can hear you. If you can switch on your video, that would be great.
Actually, I'm traveling right now, so I'm afraid it will not be possible to turn on my video. I'm sorry.
Akanksha, can you introduce us, because we're inquisitive, which center you come from?
Yeah. I'm Akanksha and I'm from CPA Mumbai.
Okay. Great. So, Akanksha,
see, we don't have an impression of how the Mumbai experience was in terms of the centers. We've heard from Prayagraj, we've heard from
Kanpur, Lucknow, Delhi.
Yes, but how was the center experience in the city that never sleeps?
CP Mumbai was like a great experience.
No, actually, not CP Mumbai. I mean your exam experience at the center where you had your actual exam.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you liked CP also.
It was very stressful. Everybody was really in a zone. Like it was very quiet. You won't expect teenagers to be this quiet, to be honest. But it was very quiet.
Great. So the invigilators were not disturbing you at all, and you got the OMRs on time?
No. At least my invigilator was really nice. She gave our OMRs on time, she collected it on time, and there were no disruptions.
Thank you so much, Akanksha, for giving that feedback, because having spoken to other students, it was we could almost have generalized that, invigilators across were pretty talkative.
I think it's just Mumbai living up to their reputation of being a well-behaved city.
Yeah, and very professional
forever.
there. So that's very, very good to hear. So, Akanksha, how are you feeling right now? I mean, in terms of your expectations of the exam, how did you score?
It was easier than what I expected, but I don't feel that happy because now I feel it was easy, so the ranks and all will be high. It's a weird place to be because even I thought logic is my strong section, but the AR question threw me off guard. So that took a lot of time. I won't keep high expectations, to be honest, but I'm sure I can score about 80 plus.
Sorry, say that again. How much? What do you think?
80.
80. And
Above
how many
80
questions?
plus, I'm
80.
minimum.
And Akanksha, how many questions did you attempt?
I attempted over 100.
Over 100, okay. And in terms of your performance, which sections did you think you really did well, and what were the sections that you thought you could have done better?
Comprehension sections, all the reading comprehensions, I did really well. Maths is my weakest section, but I still performed pretty well. GK was also really good, but it was not what I expected from the exam.
Okay, so basically you're saying that CR and legal were like slightly challenging for you?
Not overall. Like legal was not your typical legal that you might expect it to be. It was more of reading comprehension. CR, only the analytical reasoning part was thoda difficult.
Okay, and then you ended up losing some time, as you mentioned, just like a lot of other students. So, any words of wisdom, Akanksha, you would like to give to aspirants who are going to write this exam next year?
I would tell them to prepare for the unexpected. How much ever past papers you go through and solve, you just cannot expect what will be in the exam. So you should go with an open mind and not panic just because it's now how you expected it to be.
Arvind sir, it's something that I think consistently said for so many years. This is not an examination where you can truly just prepare because there's a set of areas from which you have to study. There's a set of knowledge that you have to acquire. That's just not. It's a paper where you need habits. Like, are you fundamentally good at English? Not can you solve a particular set of questions. Are you good at numbers? Can you solve at least 10% of the question paper is going to be maths? Do you know legal? Like, do you have a basic sense of how the law works? Because you cannot acquire all the legal knowledge. It's just not going to happen. And this is a common mistake that I'm pretty sure none of our students did it. And if you did, then I have a lot of complaints from you because I've said it for months. And all the other teachers, I'm sure you've said it in the English classes, that there has to be a fundamental improvement. And again, these types of question papers, where it's a surprise, where it's very different from what last 2 years paper was. There's legal knowledge when they've repeatedly told you that legal knowledge nahi aayega, sirf legal reasoning aayega, and so on. It's just you have to keep those habits intact, and then only you can really do well in this.
So I have a question there, which I really want to ask you.
Yes.
That, if you're talking that, the consortium is checking a basic attitude, not just the bookish knowledge.
Yes.
Some of the other exams that we talked about, they also have a group discussion and a personalized interview, which obviously this exam does not.
Yes.
So to that extent, all that the students will have to show for them is in terms of their performance in the written exam.
Absolutely.
So to that extent, can we say that, probably, I can't call it a flawed system.
Can it be improved?
Can it be improved?
So what I can tell you is, before the CLAT happened, when it was not a combined entrance, what NLS Bangalore used to do is they used to have about 80%, 70% of the question paper was objective, and people who are in the ratio of, I think, 1:5 or 1:7 it was, for the number of seats. So let's say there are 100 seats, about 700, jo bhi top 700 mein hai, for them they would also evaluate the subjective section, which was also about 25 to 30% or slightly more in terms of the question paper. Now those subjective questions really brought out a little more.
And that extra.
Of course, GD interview, some law schools do have, the CLAT does not.
Exactly.
The ALET exam, so basically none of the national law universities have a GD or an interview system. Symbiosis does have a GDPI system. Some of the other law schools like Jindal and so on also do have it. Can it be improved? Yes. But do they really want to improve it by adding more subjective factors? I'm not sure.
And
this is something when we get a
probably
vice
it will also
chancellor.
going to change, in terms of the complexities, in terms of the infrastructural issues that are going to come.
Yes.
It doesn't appear that they are ready at this point of time when they are facing with any basic issues like getting the questions
right. Yes.
Right? So I think that can be a bit of challenge, but let's see. So Akansha, thank you so much. Would you want to add anything to your overall experience? Are you finally relieved, and are you now ready for the next exam, that's ALET?
Yeah, overall it was a great experience. I'm definitely relieved one of the exams are over, and thank you CP for helping me through this.
Good to hear that, Kansha. We wish you all the best, and it was wonderful speaking to you. Okay, so now we have, unless there's just, let me see if who's waiting for us right now. Now we have Dhatri Singh with us. Dhatri, I can see you. Your video is working fine. So good evening, Dhatri. How are you doing?
Good evening, sir. I'm doing okay.
So Dhatri, which center do you come from? Which CP center?
CP center, Delhi CP.
Delhi, fantastic. So you must be hearing, the other aspirants, share their feedback with us in the last 1 hour. And
yes.
How much would you agree with them, or there's something that you would want to add to what they've already said?
Or subtract, I mean.
Yeah. Yes, I was listening to everything. One thing that I was really relieved to find was that everyone else also faced the AR problem. I faced that in the paper as well. So
did you waste any time? Did you waste unnecessary amount of time, trying to solve that?
Not that much. Not that much. I left that question for the end because I couldn't do it at first. So at the end, I attempted it twice or thrice, I think. And, didn't waste much time.
So you didn't feel disappointed that, I wasted too much of time there, and then, didn't get anywhere.
Yeah. So this year I'm in 11th only. I gave the paper just for the experience. I'm not going to register or take admission anywhere. So this was just, I gave it for the experience. I joined in April, so I've done a few mocks as well in CP. And other than that, I've taken a lot of legal classes. Everything is going well.
So that's really incredible, because that's incredible the way you're saying you're in class 11th and you taken time off and made all those efforts. So now that not even half of your preparations is technically over, considering you've been doing probably weekend classes with us. So how do you think that Clat Possible helped you? And your preparation is just halfway through, if I can say so. How confident you felt while giving the exam?
I think it went really well, also because of the fact that a lot of the mocks that I had given with a few 12th students in the beginning of the year, this was really easy compared to those mocks. I wasn't expecting the actual paper to be, at a level that is easier than the mocks. I was expecting it to be harder, but it was really easy compared to those. So it was less reading intensive as well.
You expected the CLAT paper to be tougher than the CLAT Possible mocks?
No. The mocks were tougher than the actual paper.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that's consistently. I mean, over the last in my experience of 14 years now, the CLAT Possible mocks are consistently more difficult than the CLAT. So the whole idea is that we want to give you tougher things, so when you go to the examination hall, you come back smiling the way you are.
Yeah, and a lot of students, last year also they came to us and said, sir, this is cheating, the way we have been, writing the mock exams, and they were so difficult, and now that the paper is so much relatively easier, it's a sense of relief, and at the same time, it's a little bit of disappointment, because we understand that, you did so much more. But it's good news, and let's just look at yourself, Dhatri, you've just done CLAT Possible coaching for just half the duration that it is supposed to be, and you're just doing weekend classes, and you're hearing you speak so confidently of having done well. It's such a sign that next year when you really write the paper, and when you're eligible to register, then you will come out not just with flying colors, but we see the likes of you being in LNS Bangalore or Nalsar.
I think also it's indicative of how seriously people who actually want to go to the top law schools have to understand the timing of starting their preparation. Because for somebody who's just going into 12th class and has not started any preparation, I mean, they're going to have a really tough time trying to beat Dhatri in the next year's paper, because she's already done so much hard work. In fact, gone through the experience of the actual paper, also taken that proactive step as well. So, congratulations, irrespective of the score that you get.
And
you already have a
congratulations,
one-up-on
I think, not
experience.
just to Dhatri, but Dhatri, your parents, your support system, your teachers at school, and some bit of it probably to mentors at CP also. We'll take it there. And it's really, it's very, very happy to hear you speak, and, so confidently for a class 11 student with so much of maturity, and, it's such a nice, analysis of how the exam went by. So, Dhatri, is there, would you like to give any advice to all of, because next year you're going to write the exam, to your fellow aspirants for CLAT 2026?
I think the people who came before me, talked to you, they covered everything pretty well. I would only say that we should all practice reading a lot, because this paper is really reading intensive, and somebody who has a great reading speed would be able to do it much better than other people. So yeah, that's one advice.
Very good. Keep the cards, all the cards close to your chest, because she doesn't want to give advice to her own competitors next year, no?
Yeah, that's understandable. And one more last question to you, Dhatri. Now, what would you suggest, for aspirants who are looking at you right now, speaking so confidently? Do you think it's a good advantage, to start early, as Dev sir said, class from class 11th, vis-a-vis, starting when you're in class 12th?
Yes, definitely. I would say that it's really great to start in advance, because you get really familiarized with the paper pattern, and more than anything, you get a fair idea of everything that you're supposed to do. So even though I've not really prepared as much by myself at home, I've just gone to the classes, paid attention there. Even that much has helped a lot. So definitely starting 1 year late would put you significantly behind others. So yes, definitely start earlier.
Great. Thank you so much, Dhatri. Wishing you all the best, and thank you so much for joining us. And we really wish you all the best for CLAT 2026. Probably you are the only one whom we'll wish well for the next year, not this year. So on that note, we have who all do we have? Okay, we have Nishant, Samyak, Sansistha, Akshita, Deepak, Biswal. Can we just get an understanding of who is ready to, get online with us right away? So, sir, one of the things that, came up right now, and we have some students in Lucknow also who are writing the exam this year, though they are, they are going to write, they are in class 11th, and, they've just made that effort. So, do you really think, what is the kind of preparations you think would be sufficient to have that level of confidence, it starts early?
I mean, in how I look at it is, if you asked me when I was giving the paper, how much time did you prepare? It was about 15 days. But the truth is, I was also in the habit of reading newspapers from class 8th onwards. So that's 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 4 years of reading the newspaper. Now, I didn't read the newspaper because of the law entrance, but I still meant that I read 600 pages of newspaper a month and 7,000 pages a year. So by 4 years, it's about 28,000 pages of newspaper that I had read. Then I had PCMB, so I already had math. So how much time do you really need? I think it's an individualistic answer. But having said that, again, I would go back to my original point that I think it's a very, very habit and skill oriented paper. So the earlier you prepare, you cannot do it in 20 hours of English is never going to be the same as 1 hour of English for 20 days. It's the same 20 hours. But somebody who's studying 1 hour every day for 20 days is going to clearly outperform the person studying English for 20 hours in 1 day.
No, I totally get that, because if I were to draw a similarity, when I wrote my CAT exam, I was somebody who had, I was quite comfortable in the English language, which is probably a significant part of the CAT exam. And then also, in terms of having a PCM background, and coming from an English medium convent school. So now you have to do a self-analysis and see, if you are one of those people who are having a little better, maybe you have a maths background, or maybe you would have legal studies in your class 12, maybe, you might want to start a little later. But if you are somebody who's working on with all those weaknesses, it's a good thing to start early and to beat the competition. So now we have with us Deepika Biswal. So can we connect with Deepika?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Deepika, you are audible, but you are not visible.
Okay, right.
Oh,
am I visible now?
Yes. How are you, Deepika?
Yeah, I guess fine.
Fine? Oh, good to hear.
You look happier than fine.
I mean, that's a habit I have. I guess I just keep smiling through everything, no matter what happens.
That's a great skill. So. Yeah, that's a great attitude to have. So, Deepika, why don't you tell the audience with us right now which center you represent?
I'm from CP Kanpur.
Kanpur, right. So, Deepika, we've also spoken to a couple of students from Kanpur, and maybe you did listen to them. So, how was your experience at the test center?
I think I thought mine would be better. My invigilators were really interfering in everything, and there were all bombs. I don't know what was happening. They were talking, and after every 5 minutes they came to us and talking to us, and he was like, "What are you doing? Show me your roll number. Can I see your ID card?" After every 5 and 10 minutes. So that was really irritating.
Deepika, I think from next session, with the way they're speaking, I think from the next session, CP should do, probably we should play some radio or something to distract the students, because, that's a habit that probably they, listening to so many of you.
The two of us could do invigilating together and
have a chat, a heart-to-heart chat while. Yeah, so next mocks, probably next Sunday, we'll do that, me and Dev sir.
There were firecrackers bursting around there, and it was miserable. But Deepika, and of course the AR was a shock, definitely. Yeah. And since I'm not from maths background, and maths, I always suck at maths, but I still managed to attempt 3 or 4 questions even after all of that disturbance. But yeah, of course, I was sad. I did not think the paper would be so easy. I thought it would be moderate to maybe difficult, but turns out it was so easy, and definitely the cutoffs are going low this time.
Yeah, you'll have to wait a bit for that, because, as our mentors and our team would join in the later half, and they'll discuss, probable cutoffs. So, Deepika, one question that I have for you is that you must have gone there with, you obviously say that, it was easier than, what you expected. But if you were to compare it with in terms of, you might have had, a number of attempts that you probably would do, what you've been doing in your mock exams. How did that fare with, how you were performing in mocks? How many questions did you attempt?
I think on mocks, I averaged around 113 to 114 attempts. But this time around, I did 105 attempts, and that really shocked me, because, of course, I got my time wasted on the invigilators thing, then on the AR thing, and I mean, the CP mocks prepared us for the worst, and I think it was too easy.
Okay. Fine. I think that seems to be like a shared sentiment today amongst our students. But 105 attempts is not bad, definitely. And there are some issues with some of the questions. So 105 to that extent looks like a decent number of attempts. And
Definitely.
So in terms of sections, which were the sections which probably perturbed you a bit, or which you thought were a little difficult? I mean, I understand the paper was easy.
I don't think any section was particularly difficult. Maybe I would say the GK was a shock to me.
Because of how easy it was.
Yeah, because mostly I took 5 minutes in GK, but because it was a reading thing this time, it took me around 10 to 12 minutes. So that is where also my time was wasted around. And I think today was more of about time management. And those who did manage time well, they'll make it there.
So if I were to ask you that on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your performance? I mean, how happy you are with what you expected?
I think it would be around 7.5 or 8.
And it's not 10 because you said that there was a little bit of an issue with invigilators disturbing. And
definitely with the invigilators there was an issue, and then maybe I shouldn't have put on my hearts and soul to that AR set, but I did, and that was a mistake that I made. But I think even after that I fared pretty well in the paper. So
as we have heard, I'm sure if you heard me and Dev sir speaking a couple of minutes ago, you know, just because you attempted that question with full confidence that you will be able to crack it, and unfortunately things didn't go the way you thought they would, and it was none of your fault. It is also a reflection of the fact that, you know, you prepared so well that, you know, even the most challenging questions you are able to take. Okay, there was nothing that you could have done better. Few minutes wasted, but even then, you know, these are the kind of students that we really see, you know, doing really well when it comes to getting good scores and getting to the top NLUs. So,
and I think by the sheer number of people telling us over the last 1 hour or more that we've been speaking, that there is a problem with that section, I think it's now, I'm on the verge of, without even verifying, that it's probably wrong. I mean, there's just too many people. Everyone can't be wrong. I mean, it's just, I think, literally pending a legal disclaimer that एक बार check तो कर लेना चाहिए. But because सब लोग ही कह रहे हैं, I'm guessing it must be wrong. Like everybody cannot collectively have gotten that one set so horribly misplaced.
And maybe one of the other things, if this is, you know, these questions perturb students who are you know, being trained so well, who prepared so well. Just think of the students who really did not give their heart and soul, as you said, to the exam. So probably if you wasted 3-4 minutes, probably they wasted more. Right?
Probably.
So let's take heart in that, and nothing against those students.
But Deepika also made a very interesting point, which it was going through my mind. I didn't know how much of a difference it would make, but now that you've pointed out the numbers, that usually everybody would have probably wrapped up the GK questions in, say, maximum of 7 minutes. Deepika is usually doing it in 5 minutes. But because now there was a demand not to recollect the answer, or do you know the answer, but find the answer, and finding Nemo ka game bana diya usko. So अब the amount of time that people would have usually taken, therefore all the planning of ये section में मुझे इतना time लेना है, it would have suddenly gone out of the window. So now suddenly everybody is reevaluating and requires a certain degree of maturity.
See, if you were to look at the silver lining, and that's the only thing we can do now as an afterthought.
कि marks बढ़ गए होंगे.
हाँ, marks बढ़ गए होंगे. And the other thing is that probably because if you look at the English section, because I took a cursory look at the English section, the passages are pretty small, short. You know, they were short passages. And we've, you know, in our mocks, in our classes, we're really accustomed to long passages, complicated passages. And so to that extent, I'm sure the students would have saved a lot of time there. And so that would have compensated for probably the loss.
For the few extra minutes here.
Absolutely. So I'm sure we are, you know, our students are better guarded against, you know, what went wrong vis-a-vis the others. And that's what we'd hope.
Also, I just want to make a parting comment here that I think the things that I hear I think most of the educational institutions, particularly the government-owned ones, have consistently tried to make at least some degree of effort to ensure कि coaching and, you know, जो जिनके पास कोई expert advice का access है, उनको कोई advantage नहीं होना चाहिए. But I mean, here is my how should I put it? Here is my direct comment to anybody trying to dilute the system or the support system that somebody might have. We are going to train our students to what I call is control F की तरह passage पढ़ने की ability develop करो, right? कि screening करने की तरह ability develop करो. If you're looking for a keyword, then that's all you're looking for.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I think over the last maybe 3-4 weeks that when it came down to score booster sheets that we did about a dozen of them. उस time पे थोड़ा शुरू किया था, but I think just need to increase the focus of the control F type of reading. वे computer में आप क्या करते एक word ढूंढते तो सीधा control F in Microsoft Word. So I think you just need to develop that skill in an actual paper and an offline structure as well.
But I mean, I would have a different thought on that, because eventually, this is one.
No, for the GK section only.
Yeah, I understand. Because what happens is eventually, this is obviously a crucial part of getting into the NLUs from the best colleges.
Yes.
But this is not the only thing, right? Because eventually, when you do join some of these great colleges, acclaimed colleges, then this is the tactic which won't work. Right. You will have to, deep dive. You will have to get a more solid understanding into what you read.
Absolutely.
So while you test people on speed and their understanding, a control F might work for a system like this. When there are 50,000 aspirants.
So
but,
my complaint is with the Clat consortium. Why have questions where all they have to do is control
exactly.
F?
So that's not. But anyways, I'm sure they have their own thoughts, and we really can't at this point of time do anything.
And
about
I have
it.
my thoughts, and my thoughts are their thoughts are misplaced. It's just. And here my students are getting harassed for no reason.
Yeah. So Deepika, would you like to add something? I know any advice to the future aspirants or Clat 2026 specifically?
Yes, I think one very crucial recommendation that I would give is don't emotionally attach yourself to the questions. Be numb. Be just emotionally numb while you're giving the paper. Don't care, you don't get a question, don't care, skip it, move on. If you have time, come back to it. But if you emotionally attach to the question, sit to do it, that might
basically
backfire.
What you're saying is that some of us and all of us, there's this ego thing. No, I can do it, and you know that it's not going away, and you unnecessarily.
She's saying it from the AR question background.
Yeah, I understand.
Probably got stuck and then harassed because of that question.
So Deepika, we share your sentiment. Feeling a little sad, but as you are not the only one there. And as he said, we were discussing, you are probably one of those students who have, with confidence tried to attempt it. Maybe in the process wasted a few minutes, but if you were to hear me saying it out loud and clear, you are probably one of those students who is going to do us proud in the coming week. So all the best, and Deepika, and we hope to hear good news from all of you, and we hope to see you very soon. Okay?
Thank you.
So take care.
Thank you so much.
So that was Deepika from our Kanpur Center. Now we have Samyak. So if we can connect with Samyak, if Samyak is online right now.
Yes, sir.
Hi Samyak, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Samyak, can you introduce
Where
us?
Are you joining us?
Sir, I'm from Delhi CP Center.
Okay, great. So we've spoken to a few of your batchmates from the Delhi Center. I'm sure you've already heard.
He's from Chandigarh.
No, Samyak said he's from the CP Center, no?
Okay.
So
yes, I'm from Delhi itself.
Okay, great. So I think you've also heard a lot of people say very similar stuff with a few one or two changes here and there. But is that also the impression that you had, that the paper was easier than expected? GK was from the RC itself. Similar impressions. Anything you thought was a little different?
So my first thought after the skimming through the complete paper was that why was even preparing for this paper? Because it was so easy. If I would have not been a part of Clat Possible, then would I have got an NLUs. So that was so easy.
Right. No, I think the hope is that NLU Delhi is probably going to extract every ounce of the preparation that we've actually put in. And again, I was telling Arvind sir also, and I think I've just to anybody who's watching, while a lot of our students are definitely saying bahut easy tha, that may not be a sentiment shared by everybody, because a lot of our students prepared very well. तो इसलिए हो सकता है कि बहुत easy लग रहा है. Like if I am a passionate chess player, so while I'm looking at the commentary on Gukesh and Ding Liren's match, my opinion and Arjun Erigasi's opinion and somebody who's never played chess ka opinion will be very different on what I thought is a good move and a bad move, or what is an easy move to miss and spot and so on. So I'm very happy, just to be clear, कि हमारे बहुत सारे students को बहुत easy लग रहा है. तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, मतलब तैयारी अच्छी हुई है. That's the only way you're feeling what you're feeling right now, and I hope you have that same feeling on the next Sunday when A-Led happens as well. Hopefully they make it, of course, a little more challenging.
Yes. So my thought after coming out of my exam center was that I was a little stressed because I've attempted more than 110 questions. I attempted 112 questions, but I was scared because of that AR question that's sitting arrangement.
I think something has to be said about the degree of harassment that the consortium has put the students through. And again, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but so many people uniformly cannot be wrong about one particular issue.
There's something seriously wrong.
We can just concede that the AR question must have been wrong while we wait for our expert team to get back to us.
So yeah, we are with you on that. We understand the sentiment.
We'll probably put up something that all of you can share. Maybe either on at least one or two of the social media platforms, specifically addressing the AR concern, and all of you can just reshare it, or if we are on Twitter, then maybe retweet it and so on.
Absolutely.
We'll get cracking at it right after this first impression session. Don't worry.
Absolutely. So now, if I were to quickly want to sum it up, if on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate your performance? What did you expect, and how you think you fared?
Sir, prior to the exam today, I was quite stressed at how it will go because there were a lot of thoughts and anxiety. But after looking at the exam, I felt quite relieved. And I think that what all efforts I put in, I'm satisfied with the exam, and I would say that on 10 on 10.
Okay, that's what matters.
My
Great. So you did a job well done, and you feel that you did a job, well. I think that's what at the end of the day matters. So thank you so much for joining us, Samyak. So thank you so much, and we wish you all the best, and we really hope that your dream college NLU you will join next year. So thank you
everybody who's joined us today and given their inputs. I hope I meet every single one of them again for a very similar session. Except that time, some of the best law schools would have already been allotted to them, and then we have the same conversation.
So it's really, a great conversation that we had this evening. We basically, we hope that it's a fruitful culmination of years of hard work and labor and efforts that have been put not only by the students, but their support system, their parents, the test center is like Clat Possible, for example. It's a nail-biting sort of a finish, it looks like. There are students who are a bundle of nerves right now. There's excitement, there's enthusiasm, and that's a mixed bag feeling. And we really hope that, whatever the students wished for, whatever colleges they wanted to join, they will get eventually what they wish to. So on that note, we will basically be, unless you have some few last words to add.
I think it's everybody is also waiting for the dissection of the paper.
Absolutely.
It's time to jump into the core academic aspect of it. I think we have a very, 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 very concrete impression because of a prolonged conversation that we had. I just wanted to add that for all the people who have given this examination, and especially all of our students, amongst the list of contributors, I just want to add sophisticated English-speaking teachers like you, and some of the Battamiz legal teachers like me also probably can take 2% credit each.
Thank you so much.
For the wonderful responses that we got. Of course, we have Surbhi ma'am, who's right now working on the paper. We have Priyanka, who's from the GK team, also working on the paper right now. While I get the luxury of speaking and getting all of these positive vibes, and you get all of these positive vibes.
This is one thing when I was being told, because I also take care of the reading comprehension section. I think this is part that makes me really happy interacting with students, because we've seen these faces in the course of last year, and it's so happy to interact with them, hear them with such, speak with such maturity. And the difficult part is happening at the back rooms. All our mentors, some of them have come from different locations from across all over India, and I'm sure they're having a tough time trying to dissect threadbare the paper. So what we will do now is
even I can't stop myself. I just want to go see the paper now that I've heard so much about it.
So on that note, we wish all of you well from Clat Possible team, and we let's keep our fingers crossed, and let's get this is over. However we've performed, time to move on, and now ALET is going to be there in the next week. Let's get ready for that. And in the meanwhile, we'll just have to take a little break, and then we'll be joined by a team of experts who will, as we said, are going to dissect the CLAT 2025. So thank you all for watching.
We're doing it section-wise.
Yeah, we will do it one section at a time.
Just for all of your information, we will break it down into various sections. And then, of course, we'll come out with what is, I think, the most awaited thing on each of these evenings, which is
cutoffs.
Expected cutoffs for the top 3, the top 10, and, of course, all the national law universities.
So thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure please continue watching, because as we said, the next section, the most nail-biting section, is going to start in a few seconds, and just be patient. And saying bye and all the best from Devsa and from me, Arvind Khanduri. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.